We are in the metaverse now, my friend. 5 years ago, we couldn't do this. You guys are in LA, I'm in the Cayman Islands. We're not actually speaking to each other. We've got digital representation of our voices, a digital representation of our imagery. So this is the metaverse. Here we are meeting. It's the digitization of everything. And the more of our lives that become digital and live in this digital world, the more that becomes the metaverse. It's not a single place, it's a state of being. And it's a never-ending pathway there. As we build out games, VR on phones, as Apple start launching their VR push, Facebook and whatever they're trying to do, Facebook and VR, all of the other permutations and combinations, just different kind of web experiences that are more 3D and personalized, that don't look like the 2D of Web 1 and Web 2. I think all of this is the metaverse. I think the metaverse is a place where you can live and work and socialize in a digital environment. And that's it's accelerating towards us. But as with all exponential curves, you never really see it until it happens. And then you're like, holy shit, did this all just happen? And that's what's happening. If you look back over the last 10 years, oh my God, the change is dramatic. Dramatic. Just think of the iPhone alone. Even if you think about Teslas and self-driving cars and all of that, that's all kind of part of the whole metaverse concept where your digital life is everything. It's much bigger than people realize. People try and focus on Ready Player One and think of it as that, but it's not. Everything is being digitized and it's happening in an accelerating pace. And that is the metaverse. And you're not forced in it. Right now, we're forced into communities within Facebook and Google and these kind of platforms. But the new world allows us the freedom of movement. It's the same happening with money. We basically now got the freedom of opting out of the US dollar and using Bitcoin, or opting out of US treasuries. So it's the opting out ability that I think is really powerful. Because if you've got freedom of movement, then they're more incentivized to not be monopolistic, or at least evil in their intention of their monopoly. They may end up as a monopoly, and that's fine. But at least they need to treat people better because people can leave, particularly when you own your own digital identity. Right now, Google basically owns your identity and uses it how they see fit. But in time, that will change, and that will open up a whole different set of opportunities.
Because your definition of the metaverse, we're in it now, the digital age. Is blockchain, the benefit of that, just verifiable ownership in that digital world?
Well, if you think of everything as digital, trust, verification, transfer, ownership of any asset, particularly digital assets or physical assets in a digital world, it's basically the layer that connects all of this. Because without it, we're just in a set of games or a Zoom experience, right? But once everything becomes integrated and on a blockchain, everything becomes verifiable. Who we are, where we spend, what we do, the things that we own, all of this stuff. So I think it doesn't happen without blockchain. Without it, it's just a video.
Do you own one or two metaverse protocols?
I've owned Decentraland and Sandbox. And I've got a property in Crypto Voxels, which is the Real Vision headquarters we built. So some exposure there. And I don't think that those are going to be the answer either. I even don't think anybody's thinking through digital real estate, because everyone's assuming that because Snoop Dogg's got a place in Sandbox, if you get it next door, it's worth a fortune. But everybody knows that you just get given a coordinate in the metaverse and you just go straight there. You don't walk around outside. That's nonsense. Now, in 30 years' time, might you walk around? Yes, but walking's inefficient. You just teleport. So I don't think location is what people think it is, unless you can create scarcity around location to say only X type of people can be in here, and there's a restricted number of things, but we haven't seen that yet. So it's very early for all of this. One of the things I'm actually writing an article about is we're talking about 5G, but China's already started testing 6G. And it's like 2,000 gigabytes. It's like ludicrous. So then what does that mean for our digital lives? Well, think of all the rendering issues you have with 4K universe. That all goes. The need to use chips to run phones all goes, because you can use it in the cloud because it's instantaneous. So then that means that your digital state and your physical state can really interact. So, that could be an NFT that you only see when I'm in my Zoom call, as opposed to it being a physical object. So I can design experiences, and, if you think of designing a house interior, many of these things don't need to be physical. They can be digital and they can be integrated. Just that ability, the ability to, right now, you can't get maybe more than a couple of hundred people in any digital experience at any one time. So even in Fortnite and stuff, if you have a concert, even though 22 million people turn up, there's actually about 200 physical avatars that you can interact with. Well, that all goes. So then you're physically interacting with everybody and anybody at scale. Okay, that becomes really interesting as well. What does that mean? How do we do that? Is that VR? Is it on a screen like this? Is it hologram? Hologram's coming. I mean, I was at Coachella when they rolled out the hologram for Tupac, and it was like, that was mind-blowing. And we really haven't experimented much with that. And what AR is going to mean, how that all works, what Apple is going to build out. They're already mapping the entire world where it can be personalized to all of your personal experiences, ping your environment. I only learned about this recently. It's like 5 million times a minute or something stupid. But what it's doing is mapping out your own environment. So then it'll have your own personalized maps of what you do and where you go and all of this stuff. Now, obviously, that comes back down to who owns the data and all of this shit, but that gets solved too. So I don't think we can really get our heads around what the ability to have massive data speeds, massive processing power could mean. It's like, when we saw the fax machine, could we figure out the internet was coming? That would be on Zoom calls, right? Before we would just, that's only 20 years ago. We were faxing shit to each other thinking this was a miracle. And now we're on real-time video calls at zero cost. That's the other thing that digitization does. It drives everything to zero. Digital is infinite, which is why you need a digital scarcity. If not, nothing works, which is why blockchain is so useful in a digital world, because you stop the infinite element of digital.